The fire-themed level was designed and implemented by Clifford Adams. The Earth-themed level was designed and implemented by Christine Singleton. The Ice-themed level was designed and implemented by Riley Harrington. We set up a central starting area with portals that would bring the player to each level. Upon completing a level, the player is returned to this starting area. The order in which the levels are completed are entirely up to the player. We hoped this would give the game less of a forced linear path and more of an exploration feel to it. While designing our levels, we gave a lot of thought to how we could guide the players along a path without making it feel forced. In the Earth level, for instance, while not being restrictive, these walls of trees guided the player in a forward direction. If there was some task the player was supposed to complete before moving on to a next area, we implemented gates which would only unlock after some event occurred. This allowed us as developers to have some control over the user and ensure they experienced all the critical aspects of each level. We used an invisible collision box to detect if the user was attempting to activate a door. If all the requirements were met, the collision box would activate the door. Enemy AI was a large part of our game. We used a state-based system which would change the enemy object's actions based on environmental cues. The boss enemy of the fire level, for instance, exhibits normal follow and attack. Once the boss reaches a certain amount of health, his behavior changes to summoning other enemies to the battlefield. To demonstrate how the proximity detection happens, I have intentionally left the collision area of this enemy visible. The enemy begins in a hidden state behind this cliff. However, if the player triggers his sense sphere, he changes states and jumps into an attack-ready position. The enemy has another collision box, which represents close contact. If, for instance, we wanted the enemy to maintain a safe distance from the player. The contact box could trigger a state of moving backwards. All of our enemies inherit this state-based AI, but each enemy object could be custom-tailored by changing what actions it takes in each state. Another aspect to our game is projectile spells. For each level, we designed a different spell. The player had to activate the spell by completing the level. Each level has a spell activator, which flags the spell usable for the rest of the game. Each level the player completes adds an additional spell to the player's arsenal. The spells each have unique properties as well. The fire spell is smaller and weaker, but travels a lot faster and over a greater distance. The ice spell is slower and stronger, but moves very slow. The earth spell is slow as well, but has a wider collision box, making targets easier to hit. Lighting is a tool that Unreal Engine provides, but how we use the lighting is very important to the developer. Color, intensity, size, and direction are all controlled by the developer and can be changed during runtime for added effects. Static lighting could be used to illuminate dark caverns. Point lights are placed under these ice crystals to provide ambient cave lighting. Directional sunlight helped illuminate entire levels and cast shadows appropriately. We also used dynamic lighting, which could be attached to a timer for added effect. No game would be complete without some element of danger. Each actor object is programmed with some amount of health. When that health is brought to 0, that actor dies. No game would be complete without some element of danger. Each actor object is programmed with some amount of health. When that health reaches 0, the actor dies. The player is no exception. As you can see, the HUD contains a health bar at the top. This represents a ratio of max health and current health. When the player's health reaches 0, he doesn't die forever. He's able to respawn at the beginning of the level. However, to prevent loss of progress in the game, we have implemented this, a checkpoint object. Once the user collects the checkpoint object, he'll respawn back at the same location.